Welcome back to Made Up of Wires. We're decompiling Castlevania Symphony of the Night. If you're not familiar with the Castlevania Symphony of the Night project, you can go to soten.z.dev where you can see the status eventually appear. We've been working on the Doppleganger 10 overlay, and that's where we'll continue today. I screwed up some things yesterday related to offsets, and I fixed those in the afternoon. And now everything is working and working much better. And so we'll take a look at that. I did find, so a lot of these functions are duplicated in the Richter overlay, which is the code for Richter when you're playing in stage 0 or when you later on you can play as Richter. I also found this in DRA, which is the Alucard code, and a lot of it's similar there. But unfortunately, even though the duplicates report matches almost perfectly, it's not the match that I was hoping for. So we have to change a few things, and I'll go over what those were in a second. Unfortunately, I'm going through a email denial of service spam newsletter spam bomb, and so I didn't have as much time to look at other things. So apologies to Mozilla. I was going to cover the stage editor today, but it's not going to happen. So maybe tomorrow. We'll see. It looks like things are slowing down. And if you're responsible for that mail bomb, I'm not very happy with you. Usually a mail bomb like that is used to disguise either unauthorized account access or stolen credit card, and then some large transaction for some type of credit card fraud. And I haven't found either of those things yet, and that makes me relatively nervous. I do know that one of our credit cards was part of a leak, and my hope is that that is the credit card that was canceled and replaced. My hope is that was the credit card that they tried to get. But I guess I'll find out in the next few days when the other shoe drops. All right, so let's get to a terminal. So I was working on this DOP animation function. I'll show you some of the things that I was able to pull in and some of the things that are identical to DRA, so the Alucard stuff, and some things that are not, and then we'll decompile some of the ones that are not identical. So all of the data is identical. There is this function. What I found was something like set player step at the top is actually not set player step. It's set Doppleganger step. And Doppleganger is the first stage entity in this stage. And this is probably a good macro to put into the BO4 header. So I'll do that now. I think it's going to keep coming up. And so when I do get into decomp.me, I will add that to my context because like I said, I do think it will occur again and again. Basically everywhere there's player, we'll see that. The one that I don't know is G entities 1, and we'll have to see what that is. The G entities offsets, if they are not pulled out into symbols, are relatively painful to calculate. So we have that function. We could start there. That should be pretty easy. There's this D800 function, which I think is going to be largely the same, where we have some entities that should actually be offset, hopefully just by a stage entity. And then play animation, that was the same, and update animation, that was the same. So only a few left here, I think 3 in this file. And then a lot of these should be decompiled, and I think that's a pretty good PR to send out by itself. So I'm going to pull this first one. I think most of these really will be copy-paste and then debug the offsets. And so that's what we're going to do today. I have a script that I call pb copy, pasteboard copy. macOS calls their clipboard the pasteboard. That comes from Next. If you are from the 90s and remember that company. Next OS, obviously, or Next Step became macOS. OS 10. So we'll start with this D59C. The other thing that I did related to this was I also split the HD and PSP versions on these same boundaries so that I could have this file separate. Whether that is ideal or not, we'll see. I don't know if there's another reason for those or not. So I'm going to add this in. We know the signature, which is just void. And while I'm here, I'm going to add my Doppleganger macro. My guess is that these, when we get to Doppleganger 40, these are going to be identical. But we'll see. So we have a bunch of these offsets. It is a little odd that they're D's and not D underscores for some of these. So we'll have to look at why that might be and why these are mapped as symbols. Oh, they're probably just mapped because of where in memory they are. They're not part of this overlay. They're part of the DRA overlay. I'm going to copy the DRA version and grab that because, like I said, I really think that this is just going to be about shifting offsets into the entities structure. And so if that's all we need to do, that's great. I just copied and pasted the whole file because that's what's easier for me. So we have a few things to deal with here. There's this G underscore global that we need a definition for, or a declaration for. I'll look in DRA for that. That's another one of these. Oh, I have it already here. It was there already. So we're at 90.7, and that's expected. So really, it's going to be getting these offsets correct. And so what I want to... The hard part about this is that decomp.me is not actually going to help us with that. We can get pretty close. We know what the offset is for G player. But what I think is going to end up happening is we have to debug it with diffboss, which will tell us if we're close or far. So I'm going to start by assuming that everything is offset by stage entity start, which is 64. So the first index 0, 64 entities are available to the game engine, and then 64 through 255 or 256 are things that the stage can use. There might be some, actually, it might be a little smaller than that. There might be some that are reserved for servants and weapons and things like that. So everywhere I see this, I'm just going to do the same thing And so that'll change our offsets here. But again, it's not really going to be something we can see yet. These are constants being added to constants. So this would all be done at compile time. And so we're not going to see new instructions here. Anywhere there's player, I'm going to change that to Doppleganger. And then a few more I missed. So one of the things that's interesting about this, I think, everybody gauge their own interest level here. The code for this is so similar that it seems like the game must have been nearly complete, or they would regularly sync this code with DRA. Or there's some conditional, substitution happening, that there are macros in place that you could define one way or the other. I don't know which one it is. So the first thing I'm going to try to figure out is why this increment is happening in the wrong order. And we also have a few cases here. Maybe I'll go up here first, around line 57. So the branch is set up differently, and we're actually it looks like we might be pulling an entity out into a variable and using that and maybe incrementing that along the way. The subtract of 2a is a little strange and different. And so we need to get those instructions figured out before we can pull it in. There's another one here on line 44. I might go from the top and see if I can work those out first. So we have a register difference. I'm not worried about the register difference yet. Where was this on? Here. So it is likely that there is some differences here. So we have this global D. Let me fix that. So we're going to pretend like we don't have that data. And so we get the match there, which is nice. 43. So there's one of these is wrong. And that's because I missed +1 here. There we go. So that was a simple error. Let's go to line 52. Did I do the same? I didn't. So in the delay slot, 0 is being set, the A0 register is being set to 0, which I'm guessing A0, this is A1. Let's see what A0 is used for. It's a no-op, in the other case. And so maybe this is inverted, or this could be an else, possibly. Let's see. It might be good to look at the Richter version of this as well and see if there's any difference in that. Let's save this while I'm here. I did kind of expect this and hope that this was going to be a little more straightforward. Oh, this might be it. So this color is being set, I think, to 0 and not, yep, there we go. Maybe. There's this 2A business happening as well on 57 that's not happening down there. Let's, let me make sure I have the right primitive. So PSP primitives are different from PlayStation primitives, and sometimes my context has the wrong one in it. No, it's the right one. I'm going to look at the decomp here. So it was 80. I'm going to set this. So the 2A is kind of an optimization that's being done. It's saying give me a reference to this particular offset and then subtract 2A from it. 2A is a fraction of the size of an entity, and so it's to make all of these other offset calculations fit in into like 8-bit operations. And that doesn't help us really looking at that. Let's look at this again and see how the for loop is structured. So the primitive is being pulled out as var v1, and that's being recognized by M2C because it's coming from primbuff, which is the primitive buffer. A1. Oh, so here is a check that's missing. So there's a not null check that isn't happening. And does this actually check for, so this is, it's not actually looking for 6 items. It's just checking for not null, which is different from the other version. So let's rewrite that. So we still do need I. And that matches quite a bit closer. I'm gonna rewrite this as a for loop. So for I equals 0, prim does not equal null, prim equals prim dot next, and I plus plus. And let's see if that. Oh, what do you not like? Capital null. I didn't like that as much. Let's switch the I plus plus and prim next. I'll go back to the other one. And that looks pretty perfect. There's still a register issue because I is not getting set to 0 beforehand. And that looks like it. So the offsets I'm still expecting to be wrong. But this gives us a starting point. And I think all these can go away. That still works, that's great. So let's try this. It failed. So the failure wasn't too great. And so here I'm going to use this to debug what the offsets should be, because I do think it is an offset issue. And this is kind of interesting if I'm reading it right, and I might not be reading it right. So on the left is what we expect. On the right is what we're generating in terms of machine code. And it's this 35 versus 64. And if these are the offsets, that's somewhat curious that, so 64, that's still not stage entity time start. So maybe that's not it. We'll have to figure out what this is. So we're at offset 44970. Let's open up the assembly and see what instruction this is. Oh, so this is right away. Okay, go back to and oh, I missed it. There we go. Maybe there's another one as well. I'm going to just make that change over here. So my assumption about what the offset was appears to be right. There's going to be one more of these that I screwed up. Maybe two of them. 449C0. Um, 449C0 is after a label. There's a jump instruction here. I think it's right here. So it's these entities here that are being loaded. Let me do a search, I guess, for G entities 1, and maybe there's one that I forgot. No. Okay. Let's go back over here and see if it's the same issue or not. And it doesn't look like it is, so looking at the wrong thing. So here we have an instruction and a no-op, and then a load. And that load is related to the player. So I think that it's related to this velocity, field, possibly. And so the original was 1D, and I'm loading 7. So let's look at the entity structure. And So the original, oh, look at it again. 1D. That doesn't necessarily make sense. Oh, you're right. Thank you, Dig Down Deep. My German is failing me. Sprechen Sie Deutsch. Second time I've been able to use German on this stream. Early on, for those of you who weren't around, there was some German spam bot that came in early on. Right, I'm fixing that in the terminal in the background. So, Dig Down Deep says, but naturally. And then, I don't know what Geburtig is. Excuse me. It's been quite a while. Fractions of centuries since I've used German. Ah, native born, Geburtstag. Birthday. Geburtig makes sense. All right. Let's see if I'm... So excuse me for butchering every everything about your fair language. When I got married, my wife said that the only German she had ever heard was by like angry people in movies, and so she didn't think it was a very nice language. And then we went to Germany, and it German spoken by Germans is as lovely as any other European language, and she liked it quite a bit. The switch runs on, yes, on the animation frames, that's correct. So I'm still trying to figure out where we've gone wrong here. So somewhere around this line, it must, so it's after the no-op. It must be related to this, and maybe it is, maybe it's the buttons. So let's go look at the buttons and see what this might be. Otherwise, I can pull up a MIPS decoder, and that would help possibly as well. This is just related to offsets. I could pull offsets up as well, just to remind myself what the differences were again. So here on 449C8, we have a 1D versus 7, and here as well. So I'm going to look at the pad macros, and a 7 is going to be L2, R2, and L1. And is that what we want or what we have? That's what we have. But that's not right, so let's look at pad held. That's not the right offset either. I'm going to... What should we do here? Let's see. Let's get a MIPS decoder. It's possible that it's just an offset, and I'm missing which offset it is. But this is kind of a handy thing as well. This is pretty simple. The biggest issue that I have with like just looking at instructions and trying to figure them out is the first 6 bits is the operation. And so when I'm looking at it, let's see, I'll do the what we have. I'll start with that. So this is load up our immediate 8007. Okay, so this makes a lot of sense. So it is, the original is loading something in the DRA address space, and we need to load something in the overlay address space. So basically our address is incorrect, and the one that it is likely looking at is this 801 3C. So let's go find that and see if we can tell what that is. My guess is, thinking about it, so for Alucard, we're looking at the player, like the gamepad, right, to determine what it's going to do. Doppleganger isn't going to have a gamepad controlling it, but that would be cool if it was like a Sonic 2 style, pick up the second controller and then you can control Doppelganger, but it's not that. So we need kind of a virtual gamepad, and my guess is that that is what that is. So this is BSS data, so unfortunately it's uninitialized. We might be able to get a sense of how big this is, but my guess is it's a gamepad structure. We only have 32 bits, and let's look at pad tapped. So these are 32 bits as well. So my guess is that this 3C is the equivalent of pad tapped, and then this is pad held. It is also possible that this whole thing is part of a player state that is duplicated for Doppelganger. So that would give us a collider here, a collider there. So horizontal sensors, vertical sensors, horizontal sensors, and then another one here. So that is possible. Let me look at the G player data. We can pull that up, the player state for G player. Yeah, unfortunately, that is going to be in DRA's BSS. So I don't know yet if that's what that is, but we'll assume that we can address these directly for now, and then we might have to change that assumption later. So this 4D3C is going to be assigned 32-bit. And we can give those symbol names, which might be nice as well. And then we have a second one, which is T40 down here. And as we go on, we can... My guess is that we're going to see more coming from that. We have D38 as well. That's a little fun that they are basically emulating a controller to control Doppelganger as opposed to something, some, direct control like most other entities. So let's replace this. And see if that works. These should be extern. And that did. That was it. So we still need to decide whether or not these should be part of a bigger player state. Let's see if we can figure that out. So I'm going to go back to BSS. BSS, you don't have a lot to go on other than that. The size of different fields. We have a lot of arrays. Unfortunately, player state, we don't have a size, which is unfortunate. Oh, we do have addresses basically for everything though. So let's start there. And I'm just going to use a calculator offline. And hopefully we can calculate the size. If I can. My off by 1 tabbing. So plus 2 minus 3DO. Interesting number. So 3DO is the size of the player state. And so I want to see if the offsets here make sense. So PadPress, what's interesting is these offsets are numerically similar in some ways. Basically, I want to see how big colliders are and see if those other fields make sense. That's most of it, 318. So here I would have to find 318 before 54D38. It's possible that there's not as many colliders for Doppelganger. 54A20 is where we would end up. So right here, so it is possible that this is a collider. Let's look at collider. So two 32-bit values. Okay. More 32-bit values, they're being treated as shorts. So I'm less inclined to think that that's the case. So I'm going to leave that as an open question for later. But for now, we have those values. I'm going to... I am going to give those symbol names because I'm here thinking about them. So we'll call this what is that? Pad pressed, pad tapped, and pad held. Dig down deep. You have me paranoid now that I misspelled Doppleganger all over the place. So one day when this is all finished and decompiled and you see it spelled correctly, you can take credit for me going back and changing everything. Oh, I shouldn't have done it that way. That was dumb, 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 dumb. Okay, so first, first I'm going to go edit the symbols. And we get the offsets. Actually, these are addresses, but we get those from the variable names. And now we can go through and replace all these just with a global search and replace. And to get those symbols, the assembly extraction has the old symbol names, and so I have to touch the splat config, which will tell make to re-extract it, and then we can run again, and that should be enough. We might have to... I think that should be fine. I said it should be enough. There's other C files that are depending on those symbols, and so they have to be recompiled as well. And that works. All right, so we have nice symbol names for those as well, and when some of these other ones are decompiled, they will have those symbol names in place as well. All right, so we got one of the three done. And I don't think I left anything too egregious. There is the stage entity start. That's kind of gross, but I'll leave it there for now. So let's look at 800. So I'm going to go do the same thing. Grab this D800. And save this one. Oh, I haven't thrown a party in a while, so we're gonna have a little party. If I can find the button for it. So many buttons. How are you supposed to do a reaction if it takes you like 4 clicks deep into menus? absurd. I think we might be able to get all of these finished today. That'd be nice. So we have player here. Those are all going to be Doppleganger. But I'm going to grab the DRA one again and assume that it's mostly the same and that it has the same kind of minimal changes that are necessary. This being the big one, all these G entities, they need to be offset by entity stage start. We need those tables. But I think that's it. We'll make these extern. Oh, no, we don't even need that. Oh, no. Looking at the wrong thing. Deleting the wrong thing. And I think we can get rid of all of these, except for maybe the top ones. And the top ones may tell us that... oh, no, these are all... 8007 is in the DRA address space. What does DRA stand for? I always assumed that it stands for Dracula, like this is the Dracula game, and in Japan it was Dracula X. But I don't know. That's my assumption, is it's Dracula. All right, let's see. So 88%, we basically have to do the same thing. Everywhere there's G entities, you have to add a entity stage start. Stage entity start. Man, I'm so bad at things like that. Ordering. Who cares about ordering as long as all the characters and words are there? Words there. Care, nobody does. If they. All makes sense, right? You know what I mean. Yeah. It's not Dracula, it's Dracula X. Okay, I'm missing something. Oh, the player draw. That's interesting. We'll have to look and see what that might be. Any of the player... so yeah, that one is going to be different. So there is some different logic down here. So now we know what these other variables are for. So these are player draw. So let me look up player draw, see what type that is. It is a player draw. And there's 16 of them. Is there 16 for us? We may never know. Yeah, we will know. This probably is in BSS as well. These are all in. So I was I'm wrong about these. These are all in the DRA space. We're pulling in entities for them all, which seems to be wrong. So something else is going on. There's some other changes down here that need to be dealt with. So this isn't as straightforward. This logic down here, around line 39, fortunately this does look like it is all correct. Oh, actually, maybe not. The original was using player. And we are not. So this is kind of inverse of the other ones. And as I undo these, I'm a little worried that what might happen, but we'll see. Yeah. Is there, so there, it's loading, I'm going to undo that. It still might be using entities as the base. I see. So yeah, it is using entities as the base, and the first entity is player, and so that's where that variable comes from. So this is all correct. There's a 4 instead of a 6 right here, and a 6 instead of a 4. So what are we doing here? So blue is 4. So our doppelganger maybe is colored slightly differently, or is that our I variable? So we're storing byte at offset 6 when we should be storing it at 4. So green instead of red instead of blue, and here is the same thing. So yeah, coloring is slightly different between the two characters, and then same down here, and up here. Okay, so we have something at offset 1B that we need to deal with. So we're loading this E84 global, and then adding a 1B. And so 1B is going to be 27. And so are we looking at offset 27? Where is A2 used? Yeah, so A2 is a pointer, and whatever pointer that is, it has a size of 40. Which is probably this PL draw. And so that suggests that we do have a global here for PL draw that needs to be added. So I'm going to, let's see where A2 is coming from. A2 is coming from V1, and V1 is this address. And I'm not sure what if there is any variable for that yet. So let's see. That is something that's going to be in the DRA address space. It's not there. So sometimes I'll take this and just kind of go up a little bit from there and try to find the closest variables that do match, or addresses that do match, and then try to find what else is around them. It may just be padding for now, but as we know more, we're going to discover what these things are. Fortunately, these are all defined sequentially. I don't see, though, where this is defined, so let's look at I want data. Let me add label to that search. Let's see if that finds anything now. So it is in the map. And it's near G status. So here we have player draw. You can actually use this to narrow down what this might be. So we're looking for 97E. So player draw is 97D1Z. So we are in this player draw array, but I think we're just at a different offset in the array. And so let's see what a player draw struct is. It's size 28, and that's where that 28 came from earlier. 40, sorry, size 40. So we need to grab our address here. That's in the assembly. I'm going to take that address, if I can copy it correctly, carefully. Subtract the G player draw offset, and then divide that by x28. So that gives us offset 9. So let me add that here. It's not changing. My hope was that there would need to be like an additional add instruction or something like that, but that isn't what ended up happening. Oh, because I'm not compiling anything, because I screwed something else up. Where is my void that it doesn't like? Yeah, so no difference here. We have a few add instructions that are off. There's these down here as well. Actually, a bunch of these are out of order. Oh, because we're not doing red and blue, we're doing blue. Maybe green. Yeah, green and red. And those are going to be set to blue. Green is right, red is wrong. And then this one will be red. And we're setting that to R0. And all those. So really we're just at this top stuff. So let's look at the decomp from M2C and see what it thinks is going on and what we might be missing up here. Save this while it's loading. Oh, this is, okay, so this is similar to before. So prim is being loaded, and we're not going to be doing any of the other work until that's happened. And there's a big do while around the whole thing. So let's change that. So there is no, we do need I like before, but that's just getting incremented at the end. Yeah, now that's much, much closer. All of this ends up working out. There's a little bit that needs to be resolved. It looks like this I increment might be in a slightly different place, or at least it's optimized to a different place. These branches are going to a slightly different location. And that's because of the I variable. (21), there is this next increment that's getting skipped. And that's two of them are being generated when only one is being generated in the original. So there's something there that needs to be dealt with as well. But this is much closer. It looks like so we have this pad here, and it doesn't seem to be affecting or it's not being allocated at the top, and really we want this to be done first before everything else. Is this pad being used? So let's make this volatile. Let's see if that changes anything. It looks like there was a player draw. Struct that was being allocated but never used. Yeah, we can't do that because that will do the allocation. Oh, Let's see if anybody can catch the issue. I just realized what it was, and maybe you can get it before I do. I'm incrementing I, and we're using I throughout all this, but we're never setting I. And I think that may do it. Nope, not quite. There is this increment happening in the wrong place. So I might revert this to a for loop like the original had, like the DRA version had, and see if that works. So this is what was happening on the other one as well. But this works like this. Odd that those are in a different order than the DRA version. So this looks like it works though. So I'm going to copy this over, and we have something that decomp.me likes. Let's see if it matches over here. I'm guessing it won't, and I'm guessing there's some offset issues, but not too bad. So right here, and that might be the 9 that I put in place instead of the 1. Let's try that and see. Otherwise, I'll look up the... nope, it wasn't that. 9 was correct. So there's one more that is missing. So we'll do this again and then see which one it is. So 44D7, 4 is where we need to go. So player palette. And let's look at it again. Maybe we need the overlay palette. So we should be able to do this in decomp.me. I think it's right here on line 44. Oh, maybe this should be Doppleganger spelled the correct way, maybe. And I'll get that macro over here. Usually context saves after you create a new... Oh no, is there? Oh, but I saved the context with the wrong one. That's the issue. So I'll try that over here as well. And we'll see if that is what was wrong. So I've mentioned a couple times that was it. All right, so we have another one. One more time. Can we do it in 10 minutes? Let's see. I'm going to be at Game On Expo in April. And so one of the things I wanted to do is do some light modding. So I thought it'd be funny if the fleamen, instead of jumping towards you, kind of jumped away from you, and maybe a little more erratically, like more like fleas. The other thing that I thought would be fun to do is when you sit in a chair, it restores health. You get the green health restoration icons above you. If there's any other things that are relatively straightforward that people want to think would be a good idea, let me know, and I'll evaluate their merit. It's something that I need to be able to do in a few hours because life is too busy. So nothing like add Sonic the Hedgehog to the game. So let's grab this signature as well. This one takes an animation frame and returns an animation frame. The only thing that I think is different about this one is a global address offset. But we'll see. I keep getting text messages. Let me just make sure that everybody is okay. Oh, the gym wants to give me a free training session. I probably won't take them up on that offer. And I will, again, take this from the DRA version. There is part of this that is off my screen. Okay, so one variable to declare, I think this is an animation frame. It may be an array of animation frames. That's what it is. And I don't remember if I have this mapped already or not, but we'll see. But this is perfect. So the only thing that is likely wrong is, actually that will be right as well. So there wasn't anything wrong with this one. So I should be able to just take this as it is. And now, who is it? It's the same message. And that works as well. So we're done. I don't think there's anything left to do with these animation functions. Let's look at the duplicates report and see if there is more in DRA. So there's a few here that I haven't done yet. So we can come back to these and see what those are. There's, oh, this is nice too. So we have gravity boot beam. So it does look like basically they just took all the Alucard stuff, regardless of whether it made sense for Doppleganger. And that was probably easier than going through each different one. And so if Doppleganger has gravity boots, he can jump with gravity boots and bonk. But that's fun as well. So tomorrow we can map the rest of those symbols as well. And I get it. there was a so if you don't have Symphony of the Night and you want to get it on PlayStation 4, I think it's on sale now for as part of the Requiem collection, so you have to play the PSP versions if you want that. But there's some discussion around that sale going on. And people were saying, I'm going to wait until Konami releases a widescreen high-definition port. This is your only hope for a widescreen high-definition port, I think, is how well this decomp project goes. So thank you if you show up in chat. Appreciate it. Glad to have you here. You like when I say gravity. Okay. Fair enough. I did mention before, if you are a Prime subscriber or a regular subscriber, or do any of the things that help support the channel, and you want stickers, we have Made Up of Wires holographic sticker and the ultimate Made Up of Wires glow-in-the-dark sticker, the best color. Send an email to twitch@madeupofwires.tv with the platform that you support on and your handle, along with an address that I can mail them to, and I'll send you some stickers if you want them. If you don't want them, more for me. And I mentioned that I'm going to be at Game On Expo in about a month, and I don't know what the schedule is yet, but they should be releasing that later this week, and so I'll post more on that. Excited. I hope I'm there on a day that Tony Hawk is there. You know who else will be there? Rob Paulson, the voice of Donatello and Raphael. I should say the voice of Raphael from the only good version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but then became the voice of Donatello in a later version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is really bizarre. Also the voice of Mighty Max in the Mighty Max cartoon, which co-starred Tim Curry. Check it out if you haven't. But that's all I have for you today. Random 90s cartoon trivia and Symphony of the Night decompilation. Go to soten.z.dev for more. Join us on Discord or see what we're doing on GitHub, and I'm going to try to get this cleaned up and checked in, and then hopefully this code will be there, the very code that you were there to see. I will I will send you a message, Gravity, and that's all I got. Talk to you later.